Hey guys, good morning and happy Sunday to everybody. Welcome to another episode. Today we are going to be installing and upgrading the high wing on the C8. So I've got the C51 package, and the folks over at Extreme Online Store were kind enough to send us a couple of pieces here to test out. So we did the front splitter, as you guys may remember in the previous video. If you haven't watched that, go ahead and click the subscribe button and check out our other videos. Anyhow, as I mentioned in that previous video, I want to upgrade the Z51 spoiler and add the high wing spoiler that Extreme Online Store sent us. This is sponsored by those guys, so thank you very much for sponsoring this video. Anyhow, this should be pretty straightforward. We'll get right to it. Not a whole lot of talking, but anyhow, we just have to remove the rear bumper fascia or cover, whatever you want to call it. Let me open up the hatch real quick. This is where we're going to be doing a lot of the work. Hopefully you guys can see. It is a little dark in here, but we've got all these little torque bits, screws in here. I think there's 14 of them that you're going to have to remove. I'll list the part sizes here in the video. And then one of the more complex parts of this job is really not hard, is you do have to remove the wheels, because we want to get in there and there's like 3 or 4 bolts and nuts that go in here. I think, I can't remember the size, I think it's like an 8 or 10. Anyways, I'll link it in the description, but there's 3 that hold on to this right here on either side, and the only way you can get to them is if you remove that inner liner, wheel cover, inner fender well cover, whatever you call them. So once we remove that, this is gonna pop off, but you still have, I think, four wiring harnesses which power the lights, power the where are they? The sensors that we've got here, the backup sensors, and also the camera as well. So once we unplug all that, the bumper should fall right off. Should be 1, 2, 3, 4, I think 4 bolts. I'm not sure if there's 2 on either side, but we'll check it out in the video here real quick. So you take those off now. If you don't have the Z51 spoiler installed, they do give you a nice little, they give you a template here you can use. Let me open this up real quick. So this is like a drilling template that you can use. Just kind of show you guys where that goes, and it'll show you exactly where you need to drill. You'll tape this over the back of the vehicle. If you do have the Z51, you don't have to worry about that, because the high wing fits exactly where the Z51 spoiler goes. So it does save you a little bit of trouble. But if you don't, they do provide you a template just like OEM. So anyhow, let's jack this thing up. Let's start taking these torque bits up top and get right to it. Okay, so as I mentioned, there's 14, and this is a T15. So there's 14 of these in here. So just gently pull these out. Should come right out. And it is nice when you have a little drill handy. Just be careful that you don't strip anything, especially when you're going the other way. Turn down the torque, and some of these drills are pretty easy. You can see the numbers right on the drill. So let me get the rest of these out, and we'll get to the rest. Now guys, you always want to break your wheels, the lug nuts, before you lift the car up. Otherwise it might be a little bit hard. So I'm using a little breaker bar that I keep handy. And be careful not to scratch your wheels, of course. So I'm gonna take these off. Also make sure you have a wheel lug nut, not a lug nut, a chuck. There we go. All right. Let me do the other side now. Number one really crucial step is where you jack your car from. So as you can see, I've got the jack pads installed, which I've shared the links before. Definitely install those. Makes it easier to see where that jacking point's going to be at. It also helps when you've got a low profile jack, because as you can see, there's not a lot of clearance to get under there. So be careful when you do this. Don't damage your car. So I'm going to go ahead and put the camera down, focus on this, because I definitely don't want to make that mistake myself. Okay, we've got it off the ground. I don't need to jack it very high, just need enough room to get these out. So there's my little... Oh, actually, I need my adapter. That would help. It's definitely easier to pull these out. Sorry about that. This plastic floor is nice, but it's noisy. And remember, I've already used my breaker bar to get these out, because these are torqued pretty heavily. 130 or 140, I forget exactly what that number is. So carefully pull these wheels out. Oh, look at all that dirt. We'll have to sweep afterwards. Okay, so now what we want to do is take this bad boy off, which I think they're just... Does this one have a screw? I can't remember. These are upgraded ones, by the way. These are the ones, as you can see, that stick out a little further out. So you get a little extra rot protection there. But I can't remember if these are screwed in or if these just snap in. Let me get my plastic tool here real quick. Panel popper tools. There we go. I remember there being a screw on this one. There we go. So these should just pop out. I think there's a little screw right at the bottom. So let's go ahead and get rid of that. I think it's like right under here. There you go. So let me get that screw off. All right, guys, we've got the mud guard off, and I think that's an 8. Can't remember. So now we just got to get a couple of these. I think these are T15s as well. I think these are the same as the top. At least they look like the ones at the top. Let me see how many there are. 1, 2. Just carefully pull on this. Oh, there's another one. Okay. So there's a couple of 8s down here. I was using my pliers. I should probably grab a. These aren't really tight on here, so let me show you what I'm taking off here. It's kind of hard to see, but you've got 1, 2, and I think that should give us a little more room to maneuver. We really don't need a lot. We just got to move it out of the way so that we can get up here. Boy, this stuff is pretty tough. There's the exhaust and the valves. Guys, there's another T15 right up there. I don't know if you guys can see it. So remove those. 3 here at the bottom, and then these 2 over here where the mud flap goes. That should give you enough room. All right, guys, hopefully you can see right up there. There's 2 7mm, and I think that's a 8 or a 10 further back. So we have to get those 3 out, and that's what holds this part of the rear fender into the quarter panel. So we just got to get those out. Sorry, I'm trying to hold the light and get in here at the same time, but you can kind of see right there. So hopefully you guys can see it. Okay, guys, so you're using a 7. There's going to be 2 of these little guys in there, and there's also a 10mm. So it's a little frustrating, and I'll show you why. So I'm using a combination. I started with a deep socket, and then I went to the shorter socket size for the 10mm. And I'm even using one of these ratcheted wrenches as well, because if I show you, just take your time with it. Don't lose your cool or patience. I don't know if you guys can see it there, but there's barely any room to move the ratchet or the socket. There's this canister, I think that has to do with the exhaust, some sort of canister in there, and there's wires and hoses, just not a lot of room to work with. So I'm almost done with this side. So just take your time. You may have better tools than I have. Maybe a swivel extension might be helpful. I'm gonna try that on the other side and see if we can come up with a better, I don't know if there's any more room on the other side, but just take your time. Like I said, I started with the 10 socket, deep socket, then I went to a shallow or shorter socket, and then I'm even using the ratcheted 10 wrench as well too. So, okay, now we're gonna take this wheel off. Guys, some good news on this side. So I've got all the screws off over here. Look at that. So this side is so much easier because we have room. There's no charcoal canister or whatever that might be over there. See if I can show you guys a better picture there so you can see it. Hopefully you can see that. But you can see there's 2 7mm and then that 10, of course. So this should be a lot easier to do, and then we can pop the bumper off. And you can see some of the wiring that's connected right there as well. That's your backup sensors and camera and everything else. So all right, guys, so now all you've got left are these T15s, I believe, just like the top. I think there's 1, 2, and that should do it. Let me see. A little dark under here. Everything's black, so there's 1 and a lot of dirt. There we go. You can see that's coming loose already. Okay. Come on, guy. There you go. You can see it's already moving quite a bit. The next step, I believe you just try to lift up, because if you remember, there's those bolts that go through here. Oh, there's still 2 right there. Whoops. So there's actually 16 up top. My bad. It's this one right here. There you go. I think that should do it. There you go. And just lift up carefully. There it is. So now, let me show you what that looks like. So it's come undone here. Now you gotta reach down here and unplug some of the wiring harness. I don't have a light, so I'll try to show you as best as I can. So it helps if you have a second person to help you. But basically, this little red tabs, they push in and out. So you want to push them out and then push in the middle right there. And you've got 1, 2, there's 3 over there. So let me do one by one. I'm doing it by myself, which can be done. You just have to be real careful. All right, guys, here we go. So we've got all the wiring harnesses disconnected. This one was probably the hardest one. These are kind of connected right down here together. One thing I did do was pop the little Christmas tree. These little guys right here, they pop out, so it gave me a little more room to work with. But there you go. It's not terribly bad. This side, as you can see, you've got that, whatever this canister is, so it makes it hard to get a wrench in here. And if we look at the other side, see, you don't have that here, so it's pretty easy to get there. All right, so now we still got to do a little more work over here. We got to take the tail lights out. I believe so, because you can see the bolts right down there for it'll be really hard to get to that one. You could do it without taking the tail light. Let me see if I can do it, but it does make it easier, and it's only a few screws that hold it in place. So not a whole lot of work to, to do it right. This first one on the corner was actually barely on there. It's like hand tight. And that is a 10 millimeter. So super easy to take that one out. The other one's going to be a little tricky. Like I said, this is where you want to remove. You can see where the light's kind of in the way there. That's where you want to remove this tail light. I'm going to try... I don't know what size that one is. Yeah, see, these aren't on there very tight, so actually I think I'm gonna save a little bit of work and now remove the tail light. If you have a hard time getting in there, like I said, it's probably faster to do it than what I'm doing here, but when you pull the bolt out all the way, I don't know if it's gonna allow me to come out all the way or not, so we'll see when I get there. I may still have to take the tail light either way, so I just recommend you do it. All right, guys, I think I've got most of them out already. So I do remember why, I mentioned that in my last video, why it's recommended to take out the tail light. If you don't have the Z51 wing already installed from factory, you have to drill. And if you don't take the tail lights off, then you would be drilling through your tail light. And that's why, if your Z8 didn't come with the Z51 package, then you definitely want to take this off, because when you drill with the template, like I said, you're going to be hitting the tail light itself. So you got one more to take off here. Like I said, these are not tight at all. I don't know what the torque specs are on these, but literally one turn and they come out by hand. Look at all the writing in here. It's kind of cool to see all the factory assembly plant workers that right on the bumpers. I don't know why. I don't know what any of these things mean, but it's pretty cool. All the different part numbers you've got in here, your sensors, tail lights, your reverse camera right there. I think that might be the soft close motor, maybe. You got your LED lights for that. So pretty cool to see the back end. All right, let's take the spoiler off and put the new one on. Guys, if your wing was installed at the factory, there's a pretty good chance that there's a double-sided sticky tape in there. So just take a heat gun and kind of heat around it. Be careful that you don't melt the paint or the wing. Some of these heat guns are pretty hot. And I'm probably gonna have to get a little bit of fishing line and cut through it. I don't want to damage the paint. So I'm just trying to get it hot in there, because I believe I've got all the bolts off, and I think there's a double-sided sticky tape underneath there. So let's test that out. Let me find some fishing line, and we'll have to cut through that double-sided sticky tape for sure. And as I suspected, so there are plus and minuses to having it installed from factory. If you don't have it, you gotta drill and have a nice little template, but you don't have to deal with this double-sided sticky tape is on there pretty good. I'm trying not to melt the paint or the wing. All right, that should do it. And we'll have to do that through all 4 corners. So just take your time, don't scratch the paint. Use these panel poppers, they're nice. They don't leave too many scratches, if any at all. And I gotta be careful where I put the heat gun because my floors are plastic. Yeah, this thing is on there pretty good. And just be careful as you pull that out. All right, guys, we did it. And this side, it's like re-sticking over here. Might help if I pull the screw all the way out. I forgot about this one. I had it loose, but here we go. And there it is. Holy hell. You can see all the, hopefully we don't do too much scratching in here. But there it is. So the hole's already pre-drilled to give you an idea where they go. Because of the factory install. I don't think I scratched too much of it. Maybe a couple scratches here and there, but. Alright, let's unbox the wing from Extreme Online Store. Thank you guys once again. It's actually nicely packaged. And these are the end pieces and the hardware, I believe. So very nicely packaged, very simple. So let's go ahead and unbox it, put it together, and get it on the car. Guys, initial impressions are awesome. The fit and finish is as good as OEM, if not better. I set that with the, sorry, I'm shaking the camera. I set that with the front splitter as well. I'm just trying to get all the other little pieces out and the hardware. This one's got some really nice hardware in there. Some shorter bolts. They do give you the 3M sticky tape as well. So let's take all this apart, put it together. All right, guys, so let's start putting the little towers together. These are clearly marked. You'll see where it says right hand side. And there's actually an angle if you look at this, so you're gonna wanna make sure that angle matches the side of the bumper of the car. You don't wanna put the opposite side on here. So they give you these little sticky tapes on here, and what you wanna do is kind of put these over here. Just try to align them so they're nice and flush, like I'm not doing. There you go. So now you wanna peel this top layer off. The nice thing is these come off if you're not aligned 100%. And I just, with these gloves, I'm gonna have to take these gloves off. Now, there are 4 of these. I don't think we'll need one for this side because these have holes. So I think you wanna do one on either side. So I'm just gonna put one on either side here. Clean that off real nice. You can see how it goes right there, and then we want to get that red that I'm struggling because I have no nails. That red cover hurts too when it goes into your cuticle or whatever it's called. Okay, so again, make sure right matches. This is going to go on the inside, and try to align this. There's a hole right there that you want to try to align with. So we've got that on there. So then the next step is going to be to put a bolt through here. So this part you might want to be sort of at an angle here. Tricky to try to get all the way back there. And an extension with a deep socket, definitely the way you want to go. Get in the hole. It's hard to see the hole. These are all 10mm, by the way, so it's just a matter of seeing where the hole is. So let me show you guys here. It goes in fairly easily. Just be careful. If you do drop the, I don't know how tight we want to go on this. Probably not crazy tight. I think that's probably good enough right there. Don't think that'll go anywhere. So you don't have to over tighten these. I don't have a torque spec for you, but just kind of feel like where it won't go anymore, and that's it. We got one side. Let's do the other side now. The same thing on the other side. One thing I've been doing is using just a little screwdriver, because again, I don't have nails, but this little screwdriver seems to work a magic itself, or work like magic. And then you peel it off, and there you go. A lot easier. So we'll put this one on the other side just like the other one. Okay guys, so now we're gonna do this side, and this is very similar to the other one. They give you these little, I think this is the right one, the smaller one, so they fit in there. What you want to have is that right there. These should be equal or be the same, so it should be pretty straightforward on how you set it up. So same thing, we're going to put these bad boys on here first, and then we'll tighten it in. And again, I use my little screwdriver because it's just a lot easier to peel this red cover off. See how easy I can get in there? Alright, same thing, so we'll put these in here. And then I'll put the bolt right through. Grab this. I apologize about the fan noise. Those are my miners. This is how I make a living. So of course I've got miners running everywhere, and they're a bit noisy, unfortunately. So okay, we got this one too, and then I'll just put the bolts through. Again, normally I would use my rubbing alcohol on there, but pressure from the wing is gonna make that stay secure in place. This is just like a little padding. This should help with noise too, so that you don't have clacking and bumping in there. Put that in there. Now I just got to get the bolt through. All right guys, there you go. We've got everything installed here. You can see the 4 posts are on. Now we just got to get the winglets on, and these are also marked too. You'll see where it says right, you want that on the inside so that you have the nice smooth finish, I think. Let me double check, but I believe that's how they go. I could be wrong. Yeah, that is correct. So if I put this down for a second so you can kind of see. I'm trying not to scratch this bad boy. So you do have a groove there, and that groove, this is the left side, so this would be driver's side, as you can see, and it fits perfectly in there. So we'll put the screws and the hardware on the outside. You also have, I think these would use the darker hardware for sure. That might be a T20 or a T15. I'll check in a second. That way they're not noticeable on the outside. Somebody can steal your little winglets. We don't want that. All right, let me get a T20. It is actually a T25, so we'll just push this in gently. Make sure we have a nice alignment and it's seated properly. Not too much torque. Yeah, it's on there pretty good. Not going anywhere. Let's go ahead and do the other side, and we'll be ready to rock and roll to mount this bad boy on there. Again, T20, super simple. I turned the torque down on my, so I don't strip these. Okay. She is on there. That thing is secure. Looks amazing. Quality OEM finish for sure. Alright guys, here are the 2 wings side by side for comparison, the C51 and the new High Wing. And I've used a little bit of Adams coating prep, which removes any sort of polish or residue. So that should help make the 3M tape stick a little bit better. So let's go ahead and put those on, and then we just got to bolt it together and we are good to go. Guys, we've got the 3M tape on there, as you can see. Pretty straightforward. Got it over here and up here. So now I'm just going to peel the red ones and get it mounted on the bumper. So now, I'm not pressing hard on it yet because I want to make sure it is aligned. Not aligned. Hopefully you guys can see here. And I'll get the socket, so make sure that this is... I'm gonna have to take the tail light out either way because I could not get to that top screw. Was just really hard, especially with the new spoiler. The angle is a little bit harder, so these come off fairly quickly. Take that off and then you'll have more room to get under here and put this bolt on. So you can see the angle is actually even harder than the OEM one. Alright, you can see we got that on. They're both on there, so now we can just pop the tail light back in place. All right, guys, we got the tail lights all back in place. We got all the bolts in place. Everything's tight. So now let's finally put the bumper on. The moment you guys have been waiting for, and see what it looks like. All right, so we've got the bumper out here. It's a little bit heavier with this on. I'm just gonna slowly back it in and plug some of these wiring harnesses back in here. Make sure you do this right, because you don't want to have to take this off because you didn't plug one in correctly. Just slowly get it in there. Now what I'm gonna do is put a couple of bolts up here. Then I'm gonna turn on the car, ignition at least, to make sure this stuff works. This is one thing I was concerned with the High Wing. It's gonna be a little bit harder to get in here. I'm gonna start with this corner one. There we go. Okay, that should hold it in place while I do the bottom. Man, but that looks awesome already. Woo! Let's go. And it's very sturdy. It's on there pretty good. All right, guys, so now it's just time to reassemble. I've got the 2 bolts in there put together. Now we just got to put this back on. Okay. Looks good. And now we just put the mud flap back on. These have like little slits they go in. And then you've got the screw at the bottom. If you remember, there's one at the bottom, so make sure you get that in. All right, so now we just gotta put the tire on. All right, let's get this bad boy back on. Well, guys, there you have it. I've put everything back together. You basically just repeat the same steps. Let's close the top. Wow, whoa. That looks amazing. Just removing my front wheel chuck here before I forget. Wow, guys, what a game changer. Next up, we're gonna do the side skirts. But man, that looks super amazing, super awesome. I hate this auto lock thing, I really do. I know you can disable it, but it's nice when I'm out driving, but when I'm working on the car, it's like I'm right here. Why are you closing down? Quality's amazing. Fit and finish is like OEM, guys. Need to clean it. I think I need to work on my fender gaps a little bit, but it looks fantastic, guys. It really does. Anyhow, that is going to do it for today's video. Thanks again for watching, guys. If you like this video, please subscribe, leave a comment below. Let me know what you guys think, and hope this helps you out. Once again, big thanks to Extreme Online Parts. Really appreciate you guys sending that stuff over. See you on the next one. Peace.